Hey guys, it's been a minute. I guess you could call this Brown's thoughts, because a big story as we head into the NFL Combine, one of the biggest events leading into the 2025 NFL Draft. It's one of the biggest parts of the draft process, and a big story and a big semi reveal from Ian Rappaport and some of the NFL insiders. It appears as if Shedeur Sanders is not going to throw at the Combine, and you may be saying to yourself, Mike, why are you talking about this? A lot of quarterbacks don't throw at the NFL Combine. Um, am I surprised by this? No. Do I think Shedeur Sanders should throw at the Combine? Yes. Because my thing is, and I've been pretty consistent with this, that I do not think that the Cleveland Browns at number 2 should take Shedeur Sanders. I would be okay with them taking Cam Ward if he was available. That being said, I am very lukewarm to the idea that the Cleveland Browns are a quarterback away and that one of these two quarterbacks that are deemed at the top of the draft, that you're going to invest a 5-year contract and a hefty guarantee and a fifth-year option. It's a 4-year contract with a fifth-year option, and you're going to be willing to invest in that when the Browns are at at their peak potentially a fringe playoff team. There are teams that are getting better in the AFC. And I have argued with so many Browns fans since the end of the season that are arguing to me that somehow that this is going to be a Jaden Daniels thing because they're number 2 and Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud both led their teams to the playoffs. Jaden Daniels notoriously led his team to the NFC Championship game, and they got destroyed by the Eagles, but the Eagles were the best team in football. Um, the point here is, if I'm the Browns, this is a red flag because, and you could say, oh, they don't need to see Shedeur Sanders. Yes, his numbers and his stuff are, hey, he had a great completion percentage. He threw for a bunch of touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over that much. If it's me, I want to see Shedeur Sanders throw the ball in Indianapolis because the big question about him is his arm strength. And if you want to be the face of the franchise, I want to see you perform at the big level, especially with the name that you have and already, the reputation that you already have being a Sanders and all of the stuff that came with you at Colorado. I want to see you perform in Indianapolis. So forgive me if I'm being extra hard on this guy because I hold him to a higher standard. And yes, there is a little bit of a personal thing here. Like I said, it will come out eventually at some other point, but I don't want to get into why, because I have loved this organization, fair or not, and I have been a sicko. It's like a lot of these people who just keep going back to AEW, even if it's bad television, because you know, they're just a sicko for wrestling and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, this organization has let me down so many times. It has made, what I deemed better quarterback picks than what would be Shedeur Sanders at number 2. And when he's not willing to perform at the combine and it's all about interviews and stuff, don't give me this crap of, oh, this quarterback in this year didn't do it. Guys, this is not a good quarterback class. Yes, there is desperate need for quarterbacks at the top, and Cam Ward may go number 1, or at minimum, I would fully expect the New York Giants to be sitting there at 3 and be looking to take a quarterback because they screwed up their quarterback situation with Daniel Jones. So here we are. This is a bad year to need a quarterback, especially in the NFL draft. And when one of the top prospects, who is deemed to be beloved by Browns fans because they just think he's the perfect fit for the system, he's a perfect fit for this, he's a perfect fit for that. Guys, I don't give a shit, okay? This guy has an uphill battle to fight because, for one, he's got a little bit of a lot of personality quirks that you're gonna it's there's a lot of drama that comes with bringing the Sanders family into your organization. That's the first thing. Secondly, this was a 4-win football team 2 years ago when he went to the Division 1 level. They did have a decent season, but they didn't win the Big 12. They didn't even make it to the Big 12 championship game, and they had an opportunity to get there. They had the Heisman Trophy winner on their team, and they couldn't even get to the college football playoff at 12 teams. That is the big difference when you're talking to me. And, Jaden Daniels, I understand when he was number 2 overall, at least Jaden Daniels won a Heisman Trophy, for God's sake. He didn't go to the playoff, but Shedeur Sanders did not go to the playoff. He did not win a Heisman Trophy. He wasn't even up for the award. He wasn't even the best player on his own team. And you're talking about taking him number 2 overall to be the face of your organization. That is the difference here. That is everything that I've been arguing with. And I know I'm going to get a bunch of shit on this because everybody thinks that I'm a hater. But when I see the way that the AFC is structured, Shedeur Sanders ain't winning you a Super Bowl. I don't care how long it's going to take. The Browns have much bigger needs all over the place, obviously quarterback being one of them. But just because you whiffed on a quarterback doesn't mean that you have to go get the first one that you thinks you're special, because they're so desperate because they know that there's a need at that position for you to take them. And for the fact that he's not going to be throwing at the combine, that is a red flag to me. I've been seeing and I've been covering this event for years, and I understand that a lot of people will defer to their pro day and potentially do that. But when there is a demand for quarterbacks, and this is a weak quarterback class versus the last couple years, I think you need to perform. So if Cam Ward wants to go perform in Indianapolis, I will salute him for that, because I know Cam Ward took a ton of shit for playing half of a bowl game. Meanwhile, Shedeur played the whole bowl game because his dad was the coach of the team and he allowed it to happen. So and he wanted it to be that way. But the point here is, when I saw this story, it was just like, it's another example of why I've been saying on this channel for the last month or two, since the season ended and since we got into full-on draft mode, that it is a bad idea to get into the business of Shedeur Sanders. And that, stemming and stretching it further back, I'm not even really sure that I'm 100% certain I want to take Cam Ward if he's available. Like, this whole notion that we need to take a quarterback, the Browns need to take a quarterback, is stupid. And this love fest with this fan base and Browns Twitter into taking this guy, given everything that we saw in college and the fact that, again, things that that matter to me, especially at the most important position in football, when you are in the top 2, let alone number 1, you have got to have at least one of 2 things with me. One is you have to have won a Heisman Trophy if you're going to get taken up that high. So when Baker Mayfield, even though it was a questionable pick, Baker Mayfield went to a college football playoff multiple times when it was 4 teams and won a Heisman Trophy. So that's fine. Shedeur Sanders didn't do either one of those things. Didn't win a Heisman Trophy. In fact, his teammate won the Heisman Trophy as a dual threat player, not even a quarterback, a defensive back and wide receiver in Travis Hunter, who frankly might be in consideration to be taken at the spot, whether it be 1, 2, or wherever he is. But Shedeur Sanders didn't win the Heisman Trophy, and he didn't make the college football playoff when it was 3 times the size of what it was previously when Baker Mayfield made it. So if you want to make that comparison, this is a bullshit argument. I am imploring the Browns executives, even though I do not trust them at all, do not consider this, and this should be the biggest red flag to you yet. It may be great that he's saying, "Oh, I play Madden as the Browns. I do all of this stuff," and he's impressing you with his moxie and, no shit, his dad's Deion Sanders. Of course he's going to have, the right mindset to be a professional. That doesn't mean he's going to be the number 2 pick in the draft and be the franchise quarterback for the Browns. So I think people should look at this and understand that it is a problem. It is a much bigger issue than a lot of media insiders and people are going to lead you on to believe. So I hope that Browns fans turn their heads around and understand that, hey, this is a bigger deal than people realize. I understand that a bunch of quarterbacks just, they don't do this. They don't do a lot of the drills at the combine because they don't deem it, and then they'll go do it at their pro day. But at the same time, like I said, those are much better and much more talented and qualified quarterbacks to be picked in the top 3 of a draft. These quarterbacks are not good. at least by the standards of the last couple of years. So that's my take. That's my rant on that. We'll have a lot more going into the combine and seeing what news comes out of it because there's always interesting stuff, whether it's speaking or whatever. I'm sure Andrew Barry and other members of the Browns contingent will say some weird shit during this week because that's going to be the conversation. How do the quarterbacks look and how do the top prospects look? So we'll have a lot more of that coming up. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.